So, with a blotch on its reputation for reliability, the question is whether Toyota will be in a good place or a bad place this time next year. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now by the founder of Brand Forensics, Jonathan Gabay. Jonathan, welcome to this morning. And things like reliability, responsibility, safety, these are all brand values associated with Toyota.
Absolutely.
They're all damaged now, right?
Absolutely, completely damaged. You were talking about the markets being green this morning, and actually green is the key name for the word rather for the day, because when it comes to Toyota and their brand, the green brand, if you wish, from the point of view of the Prius, well, you know, that is taking a bit of a nosedive. Now, last week when there was cars affected in the United Kingdom and in Europe, and there were 1.8 million being recalled, not the Prius brand, I thought, okay, there might be a way that they could actually do something about this. But now it's the flagship, the precious gem, the green Prius is being affected. That's a completely different thing altogether. So
this really is a big difference. I was just thinking that from a consumer point of view, the fact that you've now got this sort of double recall, if you like, is that doubly damaging? Because it's not now you know, anyone thinking of buying a Toyota is thinking, well, what else could go wrong?
Well, it's not just Toyota. Honda has recalled 170,000 odd of one of its models as well. So what I'm now also wondering about and worrying about, to be honest with you, Andrea, is the idea of brand Japan when it comes to the actual cars. I mean, can we trust any car?
But these aren't actually, a lot of the individual components aren't made in Japan either. You know, we think of Japan as being terribly reliable. In fact, I think these pedals were made in Indiana, weren't they?
Okay, so here's two things. Number one is that from a brand perception point of view, the ordinary driver doesn't think, well, that component comes from here and that component comes from here. They just see it comes from this brand. So that's an issue there. The other issue that people may start talking about, somebody told me in the industry actually early this morning, they said, well, one of the other things that people may start wondering about is in terms of, are they making cuts because of the recession? So are they using parts that they wouldn't have used before? I'm not talking about Toyota, I'm not talking about any particular brand, I'm talking about generally. So this may be a lesson for all of us in terms of, okay, we've got to tighten up our belts, but from a brand perception point of view, what does this do? What does this do to our products, to our services? In Hong Kong, the HSBC GIF Japanese Equity Fund this morning has said that they're concerned about its investments in the Toyota brand, and so I think that this is another issue from the market's point of view, that, you know, what will fund managers start saying? Well, is it time to start, you know, extracting?
Now, one of the things that Toyota has been criticised over as being too slow, I think that the US Transportation Secretary said that they were a little bit deaf when it came to safety. You know, in general, should people go in quicker when they find out there's something wrong? Should the President have spoken earlier about what happened?
In a word, yes. What they should do is, if there's something wrong, and especially if it's something where someone's life could be in danger, then what you do is that you act immediately. You speak to your stakeholders immediately. You have a plan of action, an emergency plan up your sleeve, ready to go. And you know what? In terms of, because no one knows where a story is going to go, what you do is you say, okay, here's the plan. Hope for the, what do they say? Hope for the best and plan for the worst, that sort of idea. So be able and be willing to adapt the plan so that if things change, fine, you can do something. But at least there's some type of a plan going on there. What they've got to do now is that they've got to have what I would call proof points. And proof points is that they've got to show consumers and the markets, this is what we're doing, here's the proof. This is what we're doing right now. I was involved in another story about a year ago, which was the British Airways Terminal 5 story. Okay. Now, that was a fiasco, if ever there was a fiasco, in terms of a brand perception sort of idea. But what they did was very, very clever, because once things started calming down a little bit, is that they put out advertisements that showed, this is what's happening today, look, it's working. So these are proof points, and this is what we've got to do. We've got to have proof points, we've got to have a plan of action, and most of all, we've got to communicate. If the more people don't speak, the more people say, why are you not speaking?
Indeed. And then this whole rumour mill gets started.
And then it gets worse and worse and worse.
We've now, you say Prius and I say Prius.
You say tomato, I say tomato.
But what do you think? What's actually happening with this? This is a very damaging recall because it is this sort of stellar brand. It's driven by celebrities. It's you know, it's the darling of Hollywood and indeed London.
Yeah.
Is this really, really damaging for Toyota going forward?
Oh, absolutely. The glitterati, you were saying, in Hollywood, they're famous for actually driving this particular vehicle, and they need those types of brand endorsements from these people.
Can you look forward now and say how long this problem is going to be a blotch on Toyota's reputation?
Okay, when I spoke to Daily Telegraph last week, and it was only about certain other vehicles that they had, I said 6 months to a year. Now I say a year onwards.
And could it be the end of Toyota? I mean, is it...
It all depends on what they do. They've got to communicate. They've got to be shown to show these proof points, as they say, where it said, look, this is what we're doing now. Don't talk about it, do it. On the good part, from the good part, if there is anything good about this, at least they are doing something now. And that's the key thing.
Okay. Jonathan Gabay, thank you very much indeed for coming in.